Well, I'm live this morning, a little bit early, 9:40 a.m. here in Annapolis, Maryland. Little iced coffee because it's the summer. Java with Jen. That's what it's time for. Java with Jen. Java with Jen. Java with Jen. Java with Jen. So today, what I want to talk about is well, I'm revealing a little bit of something you couldn't know about me, which is I'm obsessed with The Voice. Anybody else out there a big Voice fan? And what I love about The Voice is two things. One, I love any competition show. I am blown away by just the talent of the people that are on there and their journey in getting there. But the other thing I love about it is it's a blind audition. We so often relate to people by what we see, right? That's the brain's job, is to take in information and compartmentalize it. And when our sight is shut off, we only have our other senses. And I love that, especially our ears and hearing the singing. Now, I'm obsessed with The Voice, but I'm super duper uber obsessed with The Voice this season because we have a local queer woman who's on the show by the name of Rodgers. So number one, get out there and watch it because Elle's extraordinary. She's an extraordinary vocalist. I saw her. There's a local music venue called Ram's Head that a lot of big names come into, and I saw her singing a Joan Baez song as well as an original at the theater a few months ago. I call them God bumps or chill bumps. I had goosebumps, whatever you want to call them. I call them God bumps. I was said, holy crap, who is this woman? And then she revealed, check this out. She has tried out for The Voice 13 times. 13 times. 13 times. I'm going to say it again for those in the back. She's tried out 13 times. Who does that? I would have quit after 2 or 3. How about you? Like 13 times. And what happens on the 13th time? She gets on Reva's team and she was the last spot to be filled. Like I get choked up thinking about it. Well, and she's autistic and she talks about it openly. And I love that she creates space for our neurodiverse brothers and sisters and our queer brothers and sisters to be able to be seen. Now, there's been a lot of queer folks on The Voice and people that identify as non-binary and gender non-conforming and fluid and out and gay and lesbian, that sort of thing. But to have her be on there as an autistic person, that's a huge opening for many, many people in the space to also portray their gifts and talents and not be afraid to be judged. Okay. So I love her for her tenacity. I love her for her resilience. I love her for her voice because she's freaking awesome. We actually did a watch party for her last week when it was announced she was going to the lives. And you may see me in a couple shots because I helped organize it. So we did a whole like drone flyover. It was so cool. It was super cool. So if you watch the lives on Monday, I don't know if they're going to edit. Like, I don't really know. I may not be in any shots, but it was just awesome to be there and be a part of it and see her, because nobody knew, see her getting pushed forth to the lives. It has been an incredible journey for her. Now, why am I bringing this up on LinkedIn? And what the holy heck, Jen, does that have to do with business? Because the thing that keeps coming up about Elle that her dad and mom keep saying is she's done it her way. She's never backed down from who she is. She's never been apologetic. I mean, maybe she was at one point, but now she is like loud and proud about her queerness, about her neurodivergence, about, auditioning for so long. She comes out, she's got a bald head, a nose ring, bright red lipstick, jewels all over her face, and she always wears black. Like she looked like I don't even know how to put it, like a dominatrix queen. So she had this black bustier and this big flowy skirt on Monday when she performed. How many of you, how often do I do things on my own terms? Now, once upon a time, somebody was interviewing me for something and they said, I don't think you give a fudge. And I said, I don't. I went into I'll just say it, fuck it, 50s. When I turned 50, I was like, I just don't care what people think of me anymore. They can think what they think, and I may go through all the concerns about what they think and trying to figure out how to fit in. But at the end of the day, who am I for myself and what's my true voice? And I think that's something that women often struggle with, especially in these male dominated spaces, in aerospace, in pharmaceutical, healthcare, broadband, engineering. We struggle with how do we be ourselves in a work environment or society that has expectations, spoken or unspoken, about how we should show up. Does that make sense? And it's so often we have expectations of ourselves, and others have expectations of us as a daughter, as a sister, as a wife, as a partner, all those things. But we get to work. And if we're in these male dominated spaces, it's such a different culture. And I want to say this again and again. I love men. I have a lot of men in my life. I used to be married. I'm dating. I adore men. I just think, and I'm not coming down on men when I say this, I just think we want to address the elephant in the room, which is difficult for women and 10 times more difficult for women of color to figure out how to be themselves in these spaces. So, how are you showing up for you as yourself at work? When you go into a meeting and you feel like your voice isn't being heard, are you standing up for yourself the way that Elle did when she tried out 13 times? I mean, my God, my God. So are you showing up for you in that way? And really, if we just back it up a little bit, who are you? When you think about your true voice, what is it? Because I also feel like we're always um, adhering to or aligning ourselves with expectations of others. We forget who we are. And when's the last time you took time to be introspective and really think to yourself, okay, we keep saying we want to be authentic, we want to be ourselves. I just want to be myself. That is hands down a question or a comment I get when I'm talking to prospective clients or talking to clients. I just want to be myself. My question is always, well, who are you? Because we don't take the time to sit and think about it. Or maybe we have a bit, and maybe we did that a year ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I think it's a question we want to engage in all the time so we can be true to ourselves. So we know in the moment that we feel like our voice is being squashed, we have enough confidence in ourselves and our own voice that we can speak up or we can ask for an ally. If you were on my Empower Hour last month, I had a special guest, Elizabeth Bachman, who works with women to be able to speak so that they get results. And one of the things she brought up, which I thought was so interesting, was allyship, which didn't occur to me. Have you set up an ally for yourself at work who can back you up and say, hey, Jen just made that comment. That's really, thank you so much for sharing that, Scott, whoever you are. That was actually the point Jen was just making. I don't know, you might have been, dealing with an email, you might not have heard her, but this is what she said. So I'm coming to today to use Elle as a reference. 13 times trying out. How many times have you stood your ground for yourself? And sometimes we have to stand our ground like a rock in a river, willing the river to go around us, and that ain't easy. That can be difficult. That can be a trying journey. But if you let yourself loose and float down that river and a river can't really float a rock, but you get the analogy, and you're just letting yourself kind of float down the river, you're not going to be happy with yourself. You're going to know you weren't being true to yourself. And that is the worst thing we can do for ourselves. I don't care what anybody else says. We're hardest on ourselves. And when we're hardest on ourselves, that becomes an issue because it's like we can't live with ourselves. So I want to remind you how important it is for you to anchor your voice, to discover your voice, to cultivate your voice, and to anchor it so that when you too are confronted by a no, AKA somebody spoke over you, somebody interrupted you, somebody didn't listen to your idea, somebody's trying to cut you out of a project or a promotion. I have somebody I'm talking to who is dealing with, or a client that I have who's dealing with a new boss who's kind of triangulating her to push her out. Now, I don't know if the person's doing it on purpose. I always like to err on the side of nobody's doing something like that on purpose, but there's some evil people out there. However, how do you rise to the occasion in the face of that? How do you kind of strap yourself into your own self, to your own voice, and have that confidence and that taproot sunk deep into the earth? That's what I want to know from you. So I want you to put something in the comments. Do you know your voice? Do you know who you are? Are you confident in who you are? Are you using that voice? And if you're not, if you're saying to yourself, crap, I haven't taken time to do that in so long, or crap, I know I feel myself getting beaten back by the nose and want to give up so many times and so often. And it takes me a lot to get to work and kind of steel myself for the day. If you are somebody who has defined yourself so much by work, you've forgotten who you are. I want to make you an offer. Okay. And I usually don't do this on the lives, but I have a retreat coming up in June. And one of the key pieces we're going to be focusing on is discovering, empowering, and leveraging your voice, and specifically training you in leadership development skills and making sure that you are connected to you and what you want outside of work. So if you're looking for 2 days for you to take time for you, nobody else, here in Annapolis, which is gorgeous this time of year on the water, comment below, give me more, and I will send you a link to the retreat so that you can participate with us. I want to know that you, like Elle, are standing your ground. Nothing would make me happier. My whole vision is a world of people at home with themselves. And that starts with you getting who you are and getting your voice and using it for good. All right, my friends, that is Java with Jen this morning. Ciao, ciao for now, friends. And I'll see you next week. Same time-ish. Yeah, I was a little early, but hey, who's counting? And same bat channel. Mwah! Now I got to figure out how to end the live. There we go.